Hello, this is Reverend Barbara Kawa. I am here to talk to you at this master class about divination. And it is a very interesting topic, and it's how I got my start. This is how I got into business and the various different things that I do. It started all with doing readings. So I'll get into that a little bit later. For right now, I'm going to read you a little bit about what divination is. It's a very quick sentence here. It's to foresee or foretell future events or hidden knowledge by omens or supernatural powers. And divination started around the 1st century BC. So you can see that it's been around for a very, very long time. And divination is a tool to help us to understand what could possibly be coming in the future. And so it's to give us an idea of what we can expect. It's also a tool to understand the present and why we may be in certain challenges. What is the reason behind it? And so divination helps us to understand past, present, and future. And so people have been doing this for so long. They've been using all kinds of different tools like, probably rocks and sticks and things like that, leaves. We've heard of tea leaf readings. We've heard of card readings. We've heard of runes. We've heard of astrology. There's so many different ways to foretell the future. Tarot cards, all kinds of different things. I mean, I could just name off hundreds and hundreds, numerology. And, as I keep thinking of them, those are the different things. And all of these readings use a specific tool, or it can be directly channeled without using a specific tool like cards or runes or tea leaves or things like that. So that's basically how I do it. I don't actually use a physical tool. I do channeled readings. And I do be able to read past, present, and future. That's how I actually got my start. I got my start way back when, about 9 years ago. Yes, I was doing it since I was a child, but was not aware of what I was doing. When I started taking some classes on doing angel readings and things like this, that's when I discovered my gift of being able to channel. And it's not because I couldn't use cards or that, for any other reason than it was just the way that I was taught. That's it, simple. I was thrown into it. I used to belong to this group where we would meet once a month and we would practice different things depending on what the person who was leading it, what information he received with regards to what we were going to do for that night. That's where I learned that I can channel. One of the nights he had us go into groups of 2, so in pairs, and we were to read for each other, just channeled readings. I'd never done one before. So here I am sitting there in front of, this lady that I just met that night, and was kind of freaked out a little bit to sit in front of her and be able to read. She was so kind to me. She says, you know what? I'll do the reading first, and then you can follow me. Well, that was a relief. So then she did the reading for me. And then all of a sudden, here I am just about to start talking, and I could sense that there was something coming through me, a feeling, and I just started talking and I read for her and realized at that point, hey, wait a minute, there might be something to this. This is pretty cool. So that was my first time in a divination place where I was able to start doing readings. And I also took some classes and learned how to use cards if I so wished. I found it easier for me to just direct channel instead of using a tool. Now, there's nothing wrong with using a tool or nothing wrong with direct channeling. It's a different way of getting the divination that you need in that moment for your client or even for yourself. So divination requires that there is some connection to spirit in some way, shape, or form. And it's something that some people do automatically, or some people need to be able to take a class to be able to do it in a proper sequential way, making sure that there is protections. It's extremely important that when you're doing any kind of divination to have protection as you go along, because yes, there are spirits out there that may not have yours or your client's best interest at heart. So it's extremely important that, you remember to have protection around you as you are doing these readings. Now, I always ask Archangel Michael to be present with me to keep me protected and to make sure that the spirits that are coming through are beings of love and light, loving intent, and all of the angels and archangels. Basically, I ask the spiritual team, which are also comprised of deceased loved ones and possibly pets, to come through as long as they have loving intent and they are willing to assist me or my client in whatever they need. So divination is about finding out hidden information. So information that we normally wouldn't be able to gather in our normal everyday life. So things such as, the future about, as an example, career, health, any of those kinds of issues, or if you're possibly having any type of challenges that might be affecting your life, like which direction do I need to go with my career? How is my health? Those are typical things that people want to know about, or they might want to know about their children, their parents. How's their health? Do the children need anything new? What about my relationship with my spouse? Is this the right relationship for me? So there's many different things you can read and ask about when you are either divining for someone else or possibly for yourself. Generally, it is a little more difficult to do any type of reading for yourself for the simple fact that you're involved. I know that sounds funny. However, because you are so closely related to what the issue is, your own emotions and any type of things that you're thinking of may get in the way, or like say you want to know about a particular thing and you might be wishing for a particular answer and therefore might influence what the answer might be. So another form of divination is the pendulum. I'll be able to teach you a little more in a further masterclass about how pendulums work. It is very easy to influence the outcome of whatever the divination is. So you have to be really careful that when you're focusing on your client, especially, that you're focusing entirely on them and the intention of what they're asking you. So many readers do things differently. No two readers do readings exactly alike, no matter what type of divination they use, whatever tool it is. So, don't worry about that they do tarot cards this way or that way. As long as they get the result that is needed for the client, that's what's important. The other thing to remember is that anytime you're receiving a reading from anyone, that it is changeable. It is not set in stone, especially if it's future. Future is not set in stone. So therefore, any type of information you receive may be able to be changed, or at least the direction changed. There's always more hope and opening up the possibilities when you receive a reading. It is not set in stone. So that's something that you really need to keep in mind when you're going to someone for a reading. And also when you're telling your clients, if you so are doing readings for them, I always tell them that it's not set in stone. This is something you can change if you so wish. What the reading is, with any type of divination, the reading is about where you are right now, in this moment, in this present state. And if you continue exactly as you're doing right now, then it'll turn out the way that the reading comes. However, if you change anything, you do something different, it could either bring the result closer or push it farther out. So it's important to understand that your actions do have influence, that nothing is set in stone. And that's good news, actually, because then you have control. You can then go, okay. So if you get a reading and they talk about, your health and that there are certain things you need to take care of, that's the good news. You can go and take care of it, which means that if there was a particular result that, say, perhaps, your health would decline if you stayed the way you were doing things, then this is good news because now you can do something about it. So those are the kinds of things that can happen with a reading. Also, to remember, you have to be very careful about who you go to see. There are people out there, and we know it. Unfortunately, it puts a bad name upon those of us who are doing legitimate service, where they will try and make you believe things that are not true, such as that you have a hex on you or some sort of spell or something, and then they want to sell you extra things to get rid of it. You have to be very careful. And there are even ones who are masquerading as if they're giving you, the top sort of reading, and some of the stuff will seem like it really resonates and some of it doesn't. A friend of mine actually just went to a reader, and this particular reader said that they were the most accurate, that you could get. And they were recommended by someone. And, that someone said that they were fantastic and they did a great job. So this person went to them and, received a reading. And what she told me was very, very puzzling. She said that some of the stuff seemed to be pretty accurate, but some of the stuff seemed a little bit off. And, when you get that feeling inside and you go, I don't know if this really resonates. And then this person said that, that she shouldn't throw the reading away because some of it doesn't resonate, that it is a true reading. And here's the kicker. They said that this was the most accurate reading they did all week. What? What reader would tell you that this is the most accurate reading they've ever done? One, that means then the other readings weren't so accurate. Two, this means then that he's trying to force upon the client what he believes to be true and not what the client believes to be true. Whenever you do a reading for someone, you don't own the information. The information is given to you, whether you do it by channeling or whether you do it with some sort of tool. Whatever is received from their spiritual team. So the angels, the archangels, ascended masters, any beings of love and light, deceased loved ones, all of that kind of thing. So it's not your information. When I do channeling and I do readings for people, I never claim the information or tell them whether it's accurate or not, because I don't know if it's accurate. Plain and simple as that. I have no idea. Only the client knows how accurate the reading is. I don't own it. I don't own the information. It's not coming from me. I just happen to be the mouthpiece, the one who's actually telling the information and relaying it to the client, because, there are times when we need some sort of support from our loved beings of light and even our deceased loved ones, so that we get reassurance. Well, how could you get reassurance if someone's trying to force you to believe that what they're receiving is accurate? Nobody can decide that except you, or your client is the only one who can tell you whether it was accurate or not. I never tell anybody that what I'm saying is absolutely true and accurate. It's not my information. It's up to you to decide what you take and what you don't. It doesn't matter to me whether you believe the reading or not. That's entirely up to you to decide that. So you have to really be careful who you go to read with, because you could get caught up in something that may not be in your best interest. So I recommended that she go see someone that she feels more comfortable with, such as myself, or maybe another reader that she feels comfortable with and knows well, and really verify what was being read. One of the things she was told was that the path of light that she was on was wrong, and that she needed to go in a totally different direction. And that kind of threw her off, because she had, spent all this time and she really loved what she was doing, and, that she loved this path and all this. And then this reader is telling her, go and do something else. This is not for you. You're not meant to be, anything bigger than you are. Well, that's not for the reader to decide. That's for the person to decide for themselves, and to follow their own path and their own guidance. That feeling or voice inside that tells you, okay, this is what you need to do, and keeps you going on that particular path. That's the voice you need to really listen to. And using these tools can be of assistance to make sure that your brain is in the right place, that you're doing what you need to be doing in that moment, and it can change. And so you have to be careful who you go to see. There are many, many, many really wonderful readers out there who use different types of tools to get the information that you need. Do your research, make sure that you know who you're going to see, and keep an open mind. Also, make sure that you are aware that when you receive the reading, that you can accept what you want and reject what you don't want. It's entirely up to you. Divination can be wonderful as long as you realize that the tools that are being used are not good or bad. Every single type of tool, whether it be cards, whether it be tea leaves, whether it be astrology, whatever it is neutral. There is no good or bad or anything like that. Tarot cards have gotten a really bad rap because in the centuries, there have been people who have been using it negatively, or it's just somebody's opinion, or many people's opinion, that there's something evil about tarot cards. Cards, or any type of divination tool, are just a neutral tool. There is no good or bad about them. It's just that they are used for a specific purpose. It really depends on who's using them. And so therefore, it's just realizing that, whether you go to see a tarot card reader or any other type of reader, that it's not the tool that's the issue, it's the person. And that's why I say, please be careful. And that way you can protect yourself against getting swindled by those who tell you certain things. And again, there are many people out there who can do wonderful readings and channelings and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to make it sound like there are only bad readers out there. There are many, many wonderful, wonderful readers. I go to a couple myself that I trust completely when I get stumped. Yeah, I do too sometimes, because I get in my own head and I start to think, okay, well, what's going on here, and I need some assistance. So I'd like to be able to go to someone and figure out what's going on for me. At the same time, I'm making sure that I have an open mind and realize I can change whatever the future holds, whatever it comes out as. So therefore, it's really good news to know that I'm in control. Now, many readers can do past life readings, they can do readings for the present, and they can do readings for the future. So there's a lot of controversy about doing readings for the future because there's the saying out there that says that nobody can predict the future. Now, the way that the future is predicted is based upon what your spiritual team believes you need to know about the future. Because obviously, you're not going to be able to get all the information about your future, because otherwise, there's not going to be any journey for you. There's not going to be any learning for you. So a lot of times when you do get readings, you may not get all the information, not because there's something wrong with the reader. It's because your spiritual team may believe that it's not in your best interest to know just yet. So, these are things to keep in mind when you are receiving a reading, that you may not be, may not be the right time for you to receive specific information, that it pertains to your soul contract, which is the contract that you signed before you came down. So, and it has all the lessons that you're supposed to learn when you come down here. So therefore, you may not be privy to all the information. So just keep those things in mind. So when you are getting any type of reading, or even when you're giving a reading, to realize that not all the information is going to come true. There were many times when I did readings for people and I had in my head, I was like, oh my God, I didn't give them much information. They're probably going to think that I'm not very good. Well, silly thing, because I'm not the one who's relaying the information. It's not mine. So therefore, I don't need to worry about what is being given to my client. It's what they can receive. It's the realization that they receive what they need, and as much as they need. So when I relinquished control over the readings, that's when I realized that I'm not the one doing the reading. And therefore, then I didn't have to worry what the information was that my client was receiving. I tend not to do readings for myself, although I am open to receiving information as needed when I am creating new programs, when I am teaching intuition. I teach how to do readings. So I am reliant upon my team to assist me in knowing exactly what I need to be putting together. I rely upon my intuition for pretty well everything. So it's only when I'm in dire straits that I start to try and figure things out. And so it can be helpful to use a tool such as cards, because sometimes that can help you get out of your own way. So, it's helpful. So that's basically what divination is. There are so many different types of tools that you can use to do divination. recommendation is to do some sort of course, even if it's an online course, to get your, as they say, to get your toes into it, to understand it a bit better. I do offer courses with regards to that, to learn about how your gifts work. So if that's something you're interested in, please let me know and we'll set you up. And so that's what I've got for divination. And so this is Reverend Barbara Kawa, and you can reach me through my website at www.barbarakawa.com. Thank you so much.